Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 5 of my free guitar lessons course on the acoustic. My name is Kirby and today we're going to go one step further on what we've been talking about over the past couple of days. We've been looking at the A, D, and E chord structure in terms of playing rhythm because it's a nice 3-chord combination and it doesn't require a whole lot of thinking and it doesn't require a whole lot of finger stretching to get across these 3 chords. And the last time I was talking to you, we were talking about playing these bass notes on your rhythm. Just playing the root note, strum, bass, up, down, strum, and the root, strum, bass, up, down, root, strum, bass, up, down. And if you want to fill that rhythm out a little bit, you can do this: note, strum, bass, up, down, up, root, strum, bass, up, down, up. So you end up with this. So hopefully that, we've only been 5 days into this course and I don't expect you to be able to do that just yet, but some folks may catch on fairly quick and be able to play that. It's just practice and you don't have to be looking at the strings, you just have to keep your head up and you'll be able to feel the note with the pick. You got your hands on the fingers on the board here, give you a little bit of a brace and kind of steady your arm and your hand as you go through this. You just kind of lay your fingers across here if you want to. I usually just drag my fingers on the board here below the hole, sound hole there. But what I want to talk about today is how we can take this a little bit further when we're playing chords and moving from one chord to another. That little technique right there with that bass note, I call that bass note strumming, but I don't know if there's an official name for it in the music in the guitar world. Is probably an official name, but I call it bass note strumming because that's what you're doing. You're playing the bass as you strum to the chords, right? So today, this lesson will be a little bit shorter because I want to extend this out one more step, and this is as far as we have to go with the rhythm part of this, and that is moving between the chords and playing a little bit of what we call a bass run. So for example, if I was playing the bass, I'd be playing like this, and if I was going to the D chord, I'd put a little bass run here like this, and back to the A, and back to the E, up to the A again. Now, any bass player will tell you this is a common thing that they'll do in country music. A lot of country songs, or even some folk songs, depending on what the count is and so on. But what we're going to do here is just play what's called, I call it a 2/4, and it's just the 2nd and 4th fret. We're going to play this root, play the bass, 2/4 to the D, down, up, bass, down, up, root, and then back to the 4/2, A, down, up, bass, down, up, root, root, do a little run, root, down, up, bass, down, up, root, root, 2/4 on the top, back A, down, up, bass, or root, sorry. So you're just on the A string, you're just doing 2/4 to the D, and on the D you're doing a 4/2 on the A string back to the A chord. And then on the top string, and then 2/4, you can either slide or you can 2 fingers, whatever works best. Some folks, like for on the D, you may want to use your baby finger, just reach up and the index finger there and get back to the A. But this one, it all depends. Some people like to use this finger because it's a longer, it's a long finger on your hand, and you can really get over there and get that note quite easily. So that's something that a lot of folks don't do when they're playing between chords. And some, you know, some prominent musicians obviously will do that without even thinking about it. That's not a big deal if you've been playing for a while. That's not earth-shaking there. But for people who are just learning, they often skip right past this. They're either not shown it, or they just don't. They know it and they just get lazy. I can't imagine not wanting to use that, because it's in every song. There's some sort of a run usually to get you to the next chord. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tide that binds, because you're mine. I walk the line. As I was saying last week about the Bobby McGee song, or the last lesson I should say, with Chris Christopherson, it would be nice, because we're only in the A, D, and the E at this point, but this is as far as this has to go with rhythm. The only thing that's going to change now is the patterns that you play back here. I don't have to show you anything else, you know, because we started with this, just note down, note down, note down, and then we went note down, note up, down, note down, note up, down, and then we went with a bass note. We play all down strokes, right? And then we went with the little shuffle. Up, down, root, down, bass, up, down, root, down, bass, up, down. And you can even extend that a little bit further by going root, down, bass, up, root, down, bass, up, root, down, bass, up, root, down, bass, up, up. One, you know, open, 2, 4, root. Open, 2, 4, root. And then go the other way. Nothing else now we have to learn. We looked at these 3 chords. We learned how to strum them. We learned how to play a bass note or a root note and do some strumming. We learned how to do a bass note in combination with these 3 chords. And now I just showed you a little run, 2, 4, 4, 2, to get between them. And so if you work on that, you'll find, wow, your rhythm skills are getting really, really smooth. Now that's all we really have to do with that. You know, the rest of it now would be back here with different patterns and so on. But that skill right there of moving between the chords in this 3-chord structure, we're going to do this again in the other chord structures as well, once we get to the next set of chords. But these 3 chords you can do this with, and get that in your mind, get it burned in there, because you'll use this in other chords. For example, if we're on a D chord and we're going to a G, and then we're going back to the D, and then we're going from the D to the A, well, this is D to the A, you know what I'm saying? So what we're learning here, you'll use when you get other chords involved. And I walk the line. I don't know what key that's in. I think it starts in E, and then it goes to an A, and then it goes to a D. It's a fabulous song for learning these runs, because it takes you through most of the chords. But I can't remember exactly if it starts in E. I know it's a fairly low, or it goes really low. I can't remember exactly. But for example, the song we were talking with Bobby McGee, there's different versions of that. Chris Christopherson will play that in a, I don't know, let's say in D, and a D, G, and an A. And then if you look up another version, he's playing with Sheryl Crow, and they're in a G, C, and a D. And if you look him up with Rita Coolidge, which is as close to the A as we're going to be, but if you look up that version, you can play along with them, but you'll probably need to put a capo on the board. I think I checked that the other day, and they're not in standard pitch, they're a little bit higher. So I think if you put a capo, and this just clips onto the boards, this is an old-fashioned one, it just wraps around and snaps on, and all it does is take the place of this nut, so it's like moving the nut up here, and then everything is now from here up. instead of from here up. So it just eliminates this fret, basically is what it does. When you put that on there, it zeroes out that fret. So your first fret now is here. But it raises the pitch a little bit. So if you look up the Christofferson Rita Coolidge version, if you put a capo, I think on the first, maybe on the second, but they're a little bit out of pitch. They raised it up a little bit. And you can play Bobby McGee along with him and her, and using that segment there. It's the same thing. Busted flat in Baton Rouge, headed for the train, feeling nearly faded as my jeans. Okay, and these runs between the chords A, D, E, all the way back and forth between the three. You'll use that in a gazillion songs. All right, we'll leave it there, folks. Have a great weekend. I'm going to come back after the weekend's over, and we'll see you next week, and we'll take another look at a series of other chords, and we can start building these concepts into those. Great weekend. Thanks for joining me, folks. We'll see you next time.